Welcome to the Titan Tar channel. Today we have a topic to discuss about the continued clashes with Russia and Kursk, despite the Ukrainian advance having already stopped. Don't miss the chance to join us and share your opinions with us. Become a member of our channel and evolve your rank. Russian forces managed to stabilize the situation in the Kursk region, although fighting continued in some areas. The enemy did not give up its efforts to break through the Russian defenses and advance, but the Ukrainian offensive was held back. According to media reports, fighting continues in several locations, although the intensity of the actions of the armed forces of Ukraine has significantly decreased. Information suggests that the Ukrainian command is preparing reserves to reinforce its troops in the Kursk region, but this mobilization could take up to 5 weeks. Currently, there are no significant changes in the battle line in the Kursk region. The arrival of Russian reinforcements in the region has stabilized the situation, halting the Ukrainian advance. Although fighting continues and both sides are building up new reserves, there have been no significant advances by Ukrainian forces in the past 24 hours. The fighting is expected to escalate soon, with a new Russian offensive expected. The situation of the Ukrainian forces that invaded the Kursk region began to deteriorate after the introduction of experienced troops from the Russian army, including airborne forces, Marines, and special units. The presence of these soldiers made it much more difficult for the Ukrainians to conduct reconnaissance and maneuvers. The Ukrainians planned multiple simultaneous attacks in several directions. However, these plans were thwarted by the Russian military, which identified and neutralized the Ukrainian forces before they could advance. Reports indicate that Russian forces inflicted heavy losses on the enemy in several areas. Russian forces are also using drones and guided munitions to hunt down remaining Ukrainian forces. Experts in Ukraine and the West are trying to predict the possible consequences of the Kursk region invasion. In Kiev, a strong and perhaps atypical Russian response is cautiously expected. Ukrainian media are discussing whether Russia will be able to supply weapons to countries that could threaten its enemies, following the logic that if the West supports Ukraine, Moscow could do the same with other nations. The Ukrainian invasion of the Kursk region aims to occupy as much Russian territory as possible and capture strategic facilities. However, without a solid supply line, it will be increasingly difficult for Ukrainian forces to maintain control of captured areas. Russian troops are positioning themselves to completely control supply routes, which could put Ukrainian forces in a critical situation. In the West, there is a debate about the implications of the Kursk invasion. Many experts believe that Kiev will not achieve its goals, and that the operation may end up hurting Ukraine more than helping it. The incursion did not affect the main front, and Moscow has gained an additional argument to accuse the Zelensky regime of aggression. Some Western analysts, including those in the American media, criticize Ukraine's decision to use its scarce military resources in a high-risk operation with little strategic benefit. With Russian forces destroying these resources, the situation becomes even more disadvantageous for Kiev. The Ukrainian incursion, intended to strengthen Kiev's position in the negotiations, could end up being a strategic mistake, with negative consequences for the Ukrainian forces themselves. Meanwhile, Russia could use this offensive as a pretext to toughen its conditions in future peace negotiations, making any potential agreement even more difficult for Ukraine. In addition, Chinese media criticizes Washington's hypocrisy in supporting Ukraine while allegedly imposing restrictions on the use of American weapons against Russia. China sees the Kursk invasion as a result of the U.S.'s aggressive policy, which is allegedly fueling the conflict. Ultimately, the Kursk invasion, while impressive in its execution, appears to be proving to be a strategic dead end for the Ukrainian armed forces, which now face a Russian force that is regrouping and determined to regain control of the region. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and share it with your friends. Your interactions mean a lot to us and help us grow. See you next time.